Hey guys, so I suck. I didn't do a video yesterday. I just totally forgot about it, and I haven't been filming stuff ahead of time. Every video I do comes out on the same day it's taken. So it really is like what I did that day in the fish room. But yesterday I didn't really do anything besides clean up. So you can see my floor is actually clear for once. And I've been working on planning the Eastern Betta Society's show that is coming up on April 8th. If you're anywhere near Noonan, Georgia, and you love bettas, please come out. As we get closer to that date, I'm sure I'll post all that information, and the information can be found on the Eastern Betta Society's Facebook page. It can be found on my Facebook page, all that good stuff. But yesterday I was going through our awards to make sure we have enough. I have my class list here. So if you're ever interested in showing bettas, this is what the IBC class list looks like. And so you'll see it's separated by groups. Group A is regular self-bred. That means you bred the fish yourself. You didn't buy it. You raised it from a baby. Then there's Group B, which is new breeder, which again, you bred the fish yourself, but new breeders for people that have never showed before and might feel a little, I guess, nervous to compete in the open classes, which is what we call the regular classes. So it's a smaller class list, and it's kind of like a novice class. And then we have Group C, which is purchased fish. So if you have a fish that you bought and you think is really pretty and really great, and you think it could win a ribbon at a show, you can enter it in a show if you have a local show near you. So, and then from there it's broken down into half moons, double tails, crown tails, short fin, which is what placots are called, and then breeders divisions, which are trial classes. Like we have trial classes for giants and dumbos, form and finnage, which is a class for if you have a fish that has really great form but maybe its color doesn't fit into a certain category, you show it in there. Then we have wilds. We have only two classes for wilds. We have our bubble nesters and our mouth brooders. So and then we do have classes for art and photography. I've actually won a couple awards for my photography. You know, I have my pictures over there in the corner. But so that's our little class list. And that's what I was doing yesterday. As the weeks get closer to the show, I don't know if I'll be able to post videos as often or not. It's really stressful pulling a show together. Especially my club is a newer club and it's very small, and a lot of it falls to me as far as getting stuff together. So a little bit stressed out, but I'm sure it's going to be all great. And the plus side is when I get stressed, I clean. So my fish tanks and my jars and my fish room has never been more organized than it is right now. So today I'm gonna probably do a pretty long video. I'm home by myself. I have lots of time, so I'm gonna go over a few different things. One is how I sanitize stuff. I have a bucket full of, you know, hoses and crap that I need to sanitize, and then I'm also going to be sanitizing my jars. So if we go over here, someone kind of asked about this, you know, how do I do water changes on my jars? Regular water changes very easily. I just put my hand over the edge of the container, I pour the water out while keeping the fish in, and then I fill it back up. No nets, that's it. I do 100% water changes. Usually every day. Sometimes I do skip a day. Yesterday I skipped a day because today I knew I was going to be doing a deep clean on my jars. On days that I do skip, I put a dose of prime into my jars because I have ammonia in my tap water. And since my jars are not filtered, once the prime releases that ammonia after 24 or 48 hours, however long it binds with the ammonia, it just releases it back into the water, and that causes issues. So that's something I'll be talking about coming up pretty soon. I reordered a bunch of testing supplies, and I'm going to go over testing your tap water, establishing a baseline, and starting to experiment a little bit with RO water, which is something I've never done. So we'll be going along on that journey and hopefully learning together. But as far as the jars, 100% water changes almost every day. Days that don't get water changes, they get prime, and I usually don't feed them. If I know I'm not going to do a water change that day, I don't feed them, just so they're not creating extra ammonia. And then every once in a while, I like to say every month, sometimes it's longer than that and sometimes it's shorter than that, but every once in a while I do what's called a deep clean. So I take all these fish and they'll get put into deli containers, 32-ounce cups. And I'll take all my jars into the garage, I wash them by hand, I scrub them out, and I clean them with bleach, a diluted bleach solution. The main reason I do this is not really for disease. You know, my fish are all quarantined really well. I wear gloves when I do water changes. I really reduce the amount of cross-contamination as possible, but, you know, it's good to just kind of do a reset every now and again. So I do the bleach. And I scrub them out because they get protein film built up. Even if I'm doing the water changes, that doesn't get rid of the film. I'm trying to find one. This female, she has the protein film pretty bad on her jar. So if we put it up in the light, you can see it's cloudy. And that's just protein film, and it doesn't really hurt the fish. It's just ugly, and it makes it hard to take pictures and videos. So we're going to scrub the protein film out, scrub the water spots off, and the jars will look good as new. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to get everybody into their cups, and then I'll show you a little bit of how I scrub out the jars and all that. Okay, giant box or giant sleeve of deli cups pulled out from storage. I'm hoping I have enough water, and I'm almost certain that I don't. So I might even just do half, fill these up halfway. Normally what I do is I set these all up on this table. I get my pump and I just pump them all full of water and then dump the fish out. Well, my pump is one of the things I need to clean out. For some reason it's got like biofilm or something on it and it's sticky, so I'm gonna bleach it out. But so what I'm gonna do right now is just fill all of these up and then take all the fish down, put a fish in a cup, and then move all of these beanies into the garage to wash them. I've got my space heater going on in the garage right now to get it warmed up a little bit because it's still pretty cold in there. So I'm going to do that and then we'll check back in. Okay, big pile of jars about to be taken into the garage, and I'm refilling up my can. You can see everybody's in the deli cups now. I ended up only putting like a couple inches of water in each one because they're going to get put back in their other jars later tonight. So there's really no reason that I needed to go through the whole process of refilling my water can just to get them switched over. Once this fills up, I'm going to go into the chilly garage and start scrubbing out all of these beanies. I have, I think it's 66 total. So I always like to time myself and see how fast I can get it done. I'm not scrubbing out these guys. I'll do that tomorrow, but oh, these guys are uncarded. My giant is flaring at my smaragdina. Funny little guy. These guys are flare trained. I think they're pretty funny. But I'll scrub their jars out tomorrow because I want to set up a pair of these smaragdina to spawn, so I'm just leaving them be for today. Okay, so we got our jars in. I can do 16 jars per sink in this little sink. And what I do is I take regular bleach and I dilute it in a bottle with tap water about 10 to 1. And then I just spray, like, get it going. I just spray down each jar with the bleach, let it sit, and then I'll scrub it out, rinse it out, and then stick it over there on my table that I've already set up. And then I don't dry them fully, but I wipe them down on the outside to get rid of the water stains. So I let those sit for a couple minutes. And then I have two little scrubbies that I use. This one really helps to get the gunk that gets stuck into the corners. And that one is just a soft one to keep from scratching the acrylic. I also fill up a tote and pour some bleach in there too, and just kind of bleach everything that you can't really scrub. So I have siphons in there, measuring spoons, pipettes, my pump that I mentioned earlier that got left in my trash can, and it got nasty biofilm built up on it, and then I just took it out and let it dry without wiping the biofilm off of it, and it got really nasty. So bleaching nets. I'll let this sit for like, I don't know, 10 or 20 minutes, and then what I do is pour a big dose of Primer Safe in there to neutralize the bleach. And then once I'm done with the jars, I'll take everything out of there and rinse it really well again, and then I'll be done. It takes a while. Then I have my bucket of like cups and stuff. Fish dishes when you breed bettas are never ending, just because the jars themselves take so long. So gonna get started scrubbing these out, and then I'll show you the finished product. Jars are clean. I went through them really fast. Now I'm using my now clean pump and hose to pump the water out of this into the sink, and then I'll rinse these guys out. Then I just have those left to do, which won't take too long. You can see the hose. Okay, all our nets and stuff is rinsed out. Siphons are rinsed out and hanging to dry. Now we're gonna dry just the front of the beanies. Or not the front, the outside. And if you use acrylic containers to avoid scratches, because these scratch so easily, you want like as soft as a cloth as you can get. Microfiber, or I don't know what these are made out of, but these are like super soft cloths that someone donated when we had a fish show, and somehow I ended up with them. So that's what I use to dry off the front of my beanies. Once I wipe down the front, make sure there's no water spots, take them back, fill them up, and we'll be good to go. Okay, jar is dried, back in the fish room and ready to fill. I've got my pump in my trash can, and what I did was hook it up to the end of my python because that has a valve on it. I really need to make, oops, hard to do two-handed. I really need to make a better valve because this hose is quite a bit thicker than this one, so it doesn't really hold on really well to this barbed piece of the python, but it holds on well enough for me to do it as long as I'm careful to hold the hose right here. And then I have my valve, which I can turn the water on and off as I'm going from jar to jar, but I cannot do that one-handed, so I'm going to turn the camera off again and fill them up and then start putting fish back. All filled. Took about 8 minutes to fill them, something like that. Maybe not even that long, like 2 songs worth, so 6 minutes. I was zoned out while I was filling them, and I accidentally filled them up all the way, and I didn't notice till I was like halfway through, so I just said, you know, F it, and filled them all up full. The reason I don't ever fill them up full is because A, I do daily water changes because the ammonia in my water becomes an issue. And B, I don't fill them up because it's basically one trash can's worth to do all of these jars. So if I'm doing my jars every day and it takes a whole trash can every day to do them, I'm not really able to age my water 24 hours because I need this water to do fry tanks as well. So that's why I do half jars or 32 ounces versus these are not quite a half gallon. So if I could get my water situated to where I can take care of the ammonia issue, then I could let my jars go longer. I could keep bigger jars, but that's my little explanation on why my jars are always half full versus totally full. It's just trying to conserve water, or not really water, trying to conserve time by having to constantly be filling up this trash can, which I now have to do again for the second time today. So now I'm gonna grab a bucket. Oh wait, I have one right over there. I'm gonna grab that bucket and put these fish back into their clean jars, and then I have to rinse out these jars. So it's a big project when I do this, and this is why I don't do it every single time I change water. Luckily, since these fish have only been in these deli cups for about 3 or 4 hours, I can just rinse the cups out really quick. I don't have to scrub them or bleach them out. And because they stay dry in storage for, you know, several weeks up to a month before I use them again, I don't really need to bleach them out. Anything bacteria-wise that might be in there will die off being dry that long. So, time to put the music back on and get back to work. I wanted to mention that it's always a good idea anytime you've, you know, cleaned your jars with bleach or whatever, to, you know, even though I rinse them out really good and all that, I always like to go back through and just put a couple drops of prime in there just to make sure that there's absolutely no more bleach in there, and if there is, it'll get neutralized by the prime. So just a couple drops will do it, and that way you can be sure that, you know, in the event you didn't rinse one of the jars really well, you're taken care of because you dosed it with prime. So that's just a little tidbit that I wanted to make sure to mention, because you definitely want to be careful when you're using any kind of chemicals in your fish tanks or your jars. Safety PSA: plastic jars can cut your fingers and they hurt like heck. But look at my awesome jar tower. I cut my finger because I had these all like stacked together as I brought them back in here to dry. And if any of you have ever tried to pull apart two wet containers, you know they stick together pretty good. And I just cut myself on like the lip of these plastic containers. They're sharp and hurts like the dickens. Like a really deep paper clip almost, except with plastic. So that's not fun. That means I have to wear gloves anytime I'm doing anything with the fish until that's healed, because I don't want no fish diseases. But officially done with the deep clean for whatever month this is, February. So that's good. Now I'm going to put the garage back to normal and then thaw out some food for these kids. And I might set up my light box. It's getting pretty late, but it's not too late. I don't know. I've been wanting to get my box out and take pictures because I have some fish for sale that I really need to get posted down there. And then I just want to get pictures of some of my babies, but I keep not making the time to do it. So we'll see. Need to feed these guys first because they haven't eaten all day and they're hungry and very sad. Okay, thawing bloodworms, frozen bloodworms for the bettas, and then I have Daphnia and brine shrimp for some of the other guys, and we'll see if I can even do this one-handed. Goldfish get brine shrimp. And I just throw the frozen cube in there. They'll bite pieces off. These guys will get brine shrimp. Need to take some duckweed off of them. Probably do that tomorrow. Give them 3 cubes. These guys I'll give Daphnia. They got fed a lot yesterday, so they don't really need lots of brine shrimp. I think 2 cubes will be fine for them. And then, oops, sorry, fast pan. Guppies will get Daphnia. And Platties will get Daphnia. Let's see. There's not enough fry in there to do a whole cube, so what I do is I take the cube, this is Daphnia, and I kind of just rub it with my fingers and thaw it out until it looks like there's enough in there for them. Yeah, that should be good. And then the rest will go in here with Molly's. And then I'll give them another Daphnia instead of a brine shrimp. Need to get rid of those guys. And then we'll give Cheekies. Pretty sure Cheekies can eat an entire cube of brine shrimp. So we'll put that in there and find out. I don't remember if I mentioned, but I put some Melafix in her tank just because I wanted to make sure all that handling she got when I was picking lice off of her and stuff didn't mess up her slime coat. So the Melafix makes it really bubbly like that. We'll drop a brine shrimp in there. I'm already breaking the cardinal rule of don't put your hands in a quarantine tank, but I'll go wash my hands after this anyway. I'm just trying to get it started for her. She's looking really good. Hopefully we're finally a clean fish. Oh, she likes those brine shrimp. Alright. I'm gonna wait for the bloodworms to thaw, then we'll do bloodworms and see what other trouble we can get into tonight. Decided no pictures today, but oh, this guy, he looks so ugly right now. Sorry, he just kind of caught my eye. Oh, red loss. Oh well, anyway. Decided I'm not going to do pictures tonight just because I remembered the Grammys are on and I want to watch them. So I'm going to feed some bloodworms and then call it a night. And then tomorrow we'll definitely do pictures, and then I'm shipping out some plants and culture and snails, I think. I don't know. I'm shipping out a bunch of stuff. So I'll show you how I pack my packages to ship, and then I'll do pictures. But For bloodworms, I just take a pipette and squirt some in. One of my biggest pet peeves with people and feeding their fish, or I should say their bettas, is that a lot of people underfeed. You always hear feed the size of their eyeball, because that's how big their stomach is. Well, if I only ever did that, one, my fry would all die of starvation or would not grow, and two, my fish would not breed because they would be underweight. Unless you're able to feed several times a day, more than twice, like 6, you have to feed more than what their eye size is. So you'll see like tons of bloodworms in each jar, and they eat them all. Look, this girl ate all of hers already, except those floating ones. You can't hardly tell. So that's just my little rant about feeding. Oh, this is harder to do one-handed than it seems. My little rant about feeding and how much you should feed. Yeah, ideally, if you can feed them 6 times a day, go on with your bad self, but I do not have that kind of time. So they get fed twice a day, and every time they feed, they get to eat as much as they want until they're nice and fat. And that's just how I do it. And occasionally I'll fast them, or like today, they didn't get a morning meal because I knew I was going to be doing the jars and everything. But in general, if you feed good foods, there's no reason that you can't feed them a decent sized meal. It's only if you're feeding really crappy foods with lots of fillers that you'll run into constipation issues and bloat, and I think that's where that whole myth stems from them, or that whole myth about don't feed more than the size of their eye at one time. It's because people don't feed them the right foods and they don't have them at the right temperature. And if you're cold and you're a cold-blooded animal, your digestive system is slowed down, for one thing. And for another thing, if you're cold and then you're being fed food that you aren't designed to digest, like a lot of wheat and fillers, of course you are going to get constipated. If you're fed good foods, you see that guy jump? If you're fed good foods and kept at the right temperature, you should never run into constipation issues. I know I don't. I couldn't tell you when the last time I had a fish that was constipated. I really honestly do not know. Several years at the most. These are my rubra over here that have been hanging out after their female died, and I just heard from my friend that the fries she's been growing out for me are ready to go. So sometime next week I will be showing you guys setting up a rubra tank and getting those rubra and unboxing them and all that. So that will be fun. Mallow, don't knock over my tower. Get down. They're hungry. Everybody's hungry. Alright. So that's it for today. That's how I clean my jars. I do my deep cleaning every once in a while. And a little bit on feeding. I'll go back, and any of my fish that have finished all their worms, like this female, I'll give her extra if I have any left over after I do the other side. You can see the little babies taking it. Oh, some got caught. I'm lucky that I'm not one of those people that has severe allergies to bloodworms. I feel horrible for those people that can't touch them and stuff. I try not to touch them, but if I do, I don't have any illnesses, any side effects. Everybody's nice and happy. Since they're in the full jars, they're kind of half carded, so all of them can sneak up and see the fish that they're in front of and a little bit of the fish that they're next to, because the cards aren't tall enough. Something an idea I stole from Jeanne. But normally when my jars are only half full, they can't see each other on the other side. So I'm sure they're all excited right now to have new people to flare at. And I shuffled them up a little bit because it's always good to move your fry around so they can see different people or different fish and flare. Okay, that's all for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.